Hi again. I'm Gummy. Welcome to the second episode of Beneath the Mask, where we look at cut and hidden content in JRPGs. Today we're looking through Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 1 and 2 for Famicom, and the updated release Kyoku Megami Tensei for Super Famicom. Let's get started. First, some background. Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 1 is based on a book series aptly named Digital Devil Story. The basic premise of the books are that some asshole named Nakajima was bullied for being too pretty and decided to use a demon summoning program that he created to summon some demons in order to get revenge on his classmates. Then everything went sideways, naturally because he summoned some goddamn demons, and now he has to clean up his mess. If you want an actual good synopsis of the books, click the link in the description below, or even go ahead and fully read the translation of the first two books, also linked. The game, on the other hand, leaves out all that and the other riot crap Nakajima did, and instead gives a very bare-bones backstory that can be summed up as Kid makes summoning program, demons break free, and Kid and his love interest beat the demons Loki and Set. The game itself starts with the protagonists, Nakajima and Yumiko, entering a large demonic palace and making their way downwards through hordes of demons with the intent to defeat the resurrected Loki and Set in the big bad Lucifer. It's light on plot and is pretty much a pure dungeon crawler. Meanwhile, the second game, Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 2, completely forgoes following the book's story and has its own new plot, characters, and even a style of gameplay that more closely resembles a modern RPG, with an overworld, side quests, multiple endings, and a more robust story that takes place 35 years after the first game. Also, it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that these actually were not the first Megami Tensei games to come out. A couple of months before their release, the game company Telenet released their own video game interpretation of the book series that included the first appearance of the use of moon phases and a whopping 160 floors to travel through. Now with that out of the way, let's finally get on to the content, and beware of spoilers. I couldn't find much for the Famicom version of Megami Tensei 1, but there is one rather famous Easter egg known as Bagu. Bagu, or Bug, is an encounter that's simply a recolor of the demon Baku and continually flips upside down with the word bug typed out on its side. Presumably, the joke is that Bagu is a play on the name Baku, and it looks like it's glitching out because it's a game bug. The Easter egg itself comes in when, while in battle with Bug, the player holds down A, B, left and down on controller 2, then selects Auto. The battle message will change to Kabu-chan wa debug o hajimeta, or Kabu-chan begins debugging. Funnily enough, this battle isn't a random occurrence. You have to fight it in order to retrieve Guard's shield. By the way, if you're like me and like to see the minute changes between versions, here's a little list of some differences between the pre-release version and the final. When distributing stats at the start of the game, the text was changed very slightly, though to my knowledge they are both still telling the player to allocate Nakajima's points. In the pre-release, there were many more stars in the sky, which I personally like more. Here, the designs of the walls are completely changed. In the shop, the armor, shield, and sword are missing from the pre-release version. In the Cathedral Shadows, a few wall tiles were added. Wyvern looks slightly different, namely the eyes and coloring, and also ended up being moved from Daedalus. And here are some more sprite differences as they were shown in the Certain Victory Strategy Guide versus their final versions. If you want to check out the strategy guide yourself, there's a link in the description. The slimes are drastically different, making them look less cutesy. The blue will-o-wisp was given more detail with a bigger pupil. The zombies and ghouls were given slightly different faces. The ghost's eyes are very different, along with the color change. Nue has a very slight change to its eyes. Lemurian now has two claws and a more sinister-looking face. And Cerberus and Orthrus's faces and armors have changed. A message from the game's programmer is hidden in the game. It says DDS2 presented by Atlas and programming by Cozy. Cozy being the series producer Koji Okada. When the game is started up for the very first time, or the battery is changed, this animated logo is shown before the normal intro. It also shows up after the game's special ending sequence, but this time in different colors. Speaking of which, to get the secret ending sequence, once the end screen appears, press and hold up, left, A and B, or up, right, A and B on the second controller, and up, left, A, B, select and start, or up, right, A, B, select and start on the first controller at the same time. If done correctly, a demon encyclopedia will start up, showing every enemy's names, levels, and HP and MP. There are two cut enemies. Normally, Dr. Bacta, the scientist in the Ginza underpass who wants to take over the world with a cyborg ninja, is not able to be fought, even if the player selects yes when challenged. Despite this, he still has an entry in the demon encyclopedia and can be hacked into battle to fight. He can even be hacked to join your party. The other cut enemy is the Dark Hero, who dies late in the game once redeeming himself. However, in this cut battle, the Dark Hero instead tells the player that Satan revived him in order to defeat the party. He's also seen in the Demon Encyclopedia as the first entry, in fact. A tile effect that caused some party members to fall asleep and walked over was left unused. It was presumably going to be used for the Field of Flowers in the Forest of Confusion instead of putting the party to sleep in a cutscene. There's one event with a woman who has no dialogue and isn't used at all in the entire game. Her scene uses the Healer song, and all graphics used in this cut event are completely unique. This is just a placeholder room, an almost empty version of a common room found in the game, complete with the sage's floating head. There are a couple of placeholder events that feature NPCs who say nothing. One is a Wasteland NPC, and the other is a guy who helps you escape Zaratan. The latter happens if you access his event early through cheats, which is not normally what happens when an event is accessed early. Two unused items exist in the game, a missile launcher and the Palace Ring. The launcher is a consumable that does low damage to an enemy and sells for 40 Maka and can be bought for 150 Maka. The price and weak damage it does implies it was probably going to be sold at Haneda or Shinagawa, but neither town has an item shop. The Palace Ring is a key item used to get into Lucifer's castle, but there's an unused duplicate of it in consumables, even though in regular gameplay it's not in the item list. Many graphics go unused in the game, so we're gonna go through them rapid fire. There's an old lady's head that may have been intended to be used in the Devil Buster's healing area. There are two orbs, a larger one that would probably have been received after beating tyrant enemies, and a smaller one that could have been used to be given to Izanami. A teeny tiny error appears on the One True God's sprite. The right lower part of his mouth is replaced with a piece of his left cheek. A little 8x8 ball is in the Tokyo landscape graphics from when Pazuzu explains what his deal is. It's not used in the cutscene or anywhere else for that matter. Here are some random graphics that were set up to be animated. They're stored in the Good Endings nighttime sky. For town sprites in Tokyo, there's an unused giant hole, a couple of gravestones, and a thing. In Makai's unused town sprites, there's a piece of bridge that matches up with the bottom section of the large bridge in the Lands of Rage. There's also a well, and a ground tile that looks something like thorns or flowers. Finally, this is a simple placeholder sprite for free space. A normally unheard track can be played during the intro title screen if you use the action replay code 02EE4133. The spells Bufu and Mudodyne have animations despite the player being unable to use them. Hyaku has a ton of debug features that shows in-game information in different tests. If you use Pro Action Replay code 008446660 and press Select on Controller 2, various info about the area the player is in shows on the top of the screen. In the 2D sections of the game, there are 5 numbers in the upper left corner. The first represents the current location, the next 2 are player coordinates, and the last 2 are unknown. This debug display also turns off random encounters and increases the player's speed. In 3D areas, there are again 5 numbers, the first being the player's current location and the next 2 are coordinates. The 4th number is the current map and the last is unknown. This particular debug doesn't turn off random encounters. During battles, the 3 numbers in the upper left show information about the most recent attack. The number below that tells the status of each enemy, and the 3 numbers next to that most likely show HP, MP, and status. The event debug display just shows the event number. There are also full debug modes, which can be restored using action replay code 008167D0 plus 008168XX, where XX is either 06, the sound test, 0D, the sprite test, 17, an alternate sprite test, and 21, the event test. Once the code is activated, on the game select screen, hold up on the D-pad and press A. The sound test just shows 2 numbers. Pressing up and down changes the music, represented by the first number, and left, right, and A plays a different sound effect. Sprite test shows all first-person sprites in the game. Left and right changes between the 3 different sprite pages, and up and down changes the sprite within the page. There are 2 sprite tests, most likely for each game. Lastly, the event test allows you to watch each event. Top number shows which event group you're currently in, from 0 to 2, and the bottom number represents each individual event, from 0 to 255. Pressing A plays the event. And that's it for today. If I missed anything or got something wrong, let me know. And today's craft is Cerberus. He's looking a little derpy, but he's got the spirit. Anyway, we made it to the end of the video. If you'd like to watch a walkthrough of Kyoku Megami Tensei, check out the playlist in the description below by Be Invoked. And also head over to tcrf.net for more cut content. It's where I got the majority of my information. If you also like to support me, there are even more links in the description. But for now, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time, bye!